live right now with my dear sister, and I am so grateful to be inviting her in to share about her experience inside of my world, inside of Here We Grow. This woman is a powerhouse medicine woman who leads extraordinary retreats all over the world, and who is a mother and who is a dear sister. And so I am so grateful and honored to bring her here with you today to get to share and speak into some of the magic and medicines that happens inside of Here We Grow with the women that rise inside of my containers. So here we have the beautiful Paola, who is going to be Hi,
Grand
gorgeous.
Rising.
Where in the world are you right now?
I'm back in California. I just got back from Hawaii, from
Beautiful.
Maui.
Oh, so good. I've
Where are
been in
you?
Costa Rica, and it's so wild. I just dropped a post about this, how I'm having one of those full circle moments. You know, when you return to a place and you remember the first time
Yes.
and everything happened since, and how much you've grown and evolved and shifted and expanded, and just all of the growth. And so I've been very much in that energy, and it's just so timely, I think, so synchronistic that we're getting to come together here during this live while I'm here in Costa Rica, and honoring, you know, the whole journey of Here We Grow, because this is where it was birthed. This was, you know, jungle gave me the whispered in my ear, like, birth your business. And then I got to journey with you to Egypt, and then I got to experience you and have you inside of Watch Me Rise this past portal in January, which was just such a perfect way to set the tone for this whole year. And I love that. Watch Me Rise, the signature program, just, I think, like, it surprised me going through the initiation of it, of wow, this is actually an undertone of the entire ecosystem inside of Here We Grow. And you're one of the women that I've had such a privilege to get to watch you rise in your leadership, in your work, in your medicine, and the way you serve it and how you serve it, and the reclaimed power in your body, in your nervous system, with and beyond money, and you know how you're allowing yourself to get to just step into these new chapters, these new eras of your leadership and your impact in such a powerful way. So thank you for being here.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yes, I would love you to get to share, you know, anything about yourself, just to give people a little bit of a sense of who you are. I know I was just like raving about you already, but if you want to share anything else about yourself, and you know what drew you into my work and into my world.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to share, but I think what really is alive in my body right now is, like you said, like really claiming the medicine that I come and bring and embody. And hi, Kitty. She always wants to be part of these lives. So if you hear the noise, it's my kitty playing with her ball. Um, but the main thing for me is really remembering and tapping into the medicine of understanding that I am part of the one that stands at the edge, right? Because I am born at the edge of the year. I'm born at the edge of the day. I'm born at in like many different cultures. That one thing that we deeply can, you know, connect and understand each other and relate is coming from a mixed family, mixed cultures, mixed ancestry, and how to really embody them and listen deeply to what our medicine is. And for me, what I know my medicine is helping people go through these major life portals in their life, which is the parallel of being a nurse for almost 20 years. I mean, I've been a nurse for more than 20 years, but specifically dedicating my energy and time to helping families, you know, grow, literally, holding that portal and being in that portal of birth, and reminding women that yes, you might be scared, you might be afraid of it, but that's the only way through it, is going through it and allowing and tapping into that moment of fear, which is so corresponding to what we're doing, right? Like every time we enter a new chapter, it is literally dying or a death portal of an old version of ourselves. And here comes the wind in your life. I can see it's responding. Um, that death portal before we enter the new life's portal. And that's something that's been really prevalent in my life. I literally had a death experience. So not a near death, a death experience. I went to the death portal in this body and decided to come back. And it's not a story I have shared openly with many people, but understanding that is part of the medicine that they showed me, my guides have showed me of. I have done this work in Egypt in the past of preparing the souls, the bodies, to enter into the next realm. And it made sense of why Anubis came through so deeply, which is the one that helps us in the portal of death as we transition from this embodiment into the next. And so really anchoring that frequency in and not keeping these worlds separate. I think that's been a big story for me, that I felt like I needed to keep these stories separate. But then I'm fractioning myself. And so really not fractioning myself of, yes, it is an end of a chapter of working with women and families and women's health for over 20 years, but it just continues in a different kind of thread, which are the retreats, like you mentioned, that I hold and organize to different sacred portals in this world, which gives us that container to allow and grieve the old version of ourselves, but also stepping into the new. And so I'm really claiming that, as this is my story, to really infuse it into all the things that I do. And another big thing that comes through to share is that connection of the water. That is an ancestral connection, and that's the work, how my spiritual work really started to deepen. And the offerings for the community is working with our African ancestors and our African deities, which are the Rishas. And you came to our Yemaya ceremony as well by the ocean. And that was really the inception of me listening to spirit telling me things that I'm like, really? I don't think I should be, like all these, like where your mind tries to start stopping you and ignoring that voice and really listening to the voice with spirit and what my mission is here on this earth, and following that. And meeting you along this path, has been just absolutely phenomenal. Seeing somebody like you that is a version of me, and so truly embodied at such a young age, that really touched my heart when I met you on the Healer for the Healers retreat. I think that's the first time we met. When you came to the Sequoias, when we organized that beautiful medicine. And working with you this January was something I've been wanting to work with you. And as life has, threw me some curveballs in my life, my time opened up. I was like, I want to work some more with really embodying that, because I definitely recognize that there is, you can manifest and talk about what you're manifesting, but if your body can't hold it or is not used to it, or when the money comes and you're like, that ancestral story of like, okay, but is that going to be enough? Or the fear of being enough, and really understanding that it has to have some form of somatic connection. And that's where you show up so beautifully, and even on the retreat showed us, how to embody that joy, how to embody that luxury, how to let our somatic system really feel. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. Really feel the abundance, because it's an old story. And one of the things that has come through to me is like, really all of our families are abundant. You just need to go back to many, many generations for some of us to find that ancestors. For me, it's the wild woman, where I got to see her this year in meditation. And I'm like, yes, wild woman. She was sitting by this fire, long, wild hair. And she was sitting by the fire and doing what we are doing now, creating medicines, creating potions, talking to the earth, talking to the plants. And yeah, I think what I can share is what has happened after our class was a reminder of how to be in that joy and in that bliss, because as I was up leveling, I was feeling some constrictions around certain things, and was able to let go of some of that, and being in a group where we make an agreement. You know, we say, okay, how am I going to step up? How am I, what's the next step? And so one of the steps was to connect with all the folks that have come to Egypt on the past retreats. We've done 3 so far. We're about to have our 4th. And to talk to you guys and share some nuggets, and really tap into that frequency. And um, I started doing them. So you're my 3rd guest now. And yeah, so excited. This is in alignment with the homework you gave us. And here we are now, being able to talk to you.
And I love having you come in here and get to share your experience because our paths have been weaving, over years, but it's so new that you're in my world and my work. And it's such I think I love about regenerative wealth. One of the things I really love about regenerative wealth and the way that I coach and the way that I teach it is like the depth and quality of relationships that we get to be cultivated and how multifaceted they get to be. Like I was brought into your work from your retreats, and one of the points of resonance that was so close to my heart and still is that ancestral healing. The ancestral healing and being in sisterhood, being in nature, connecting with spirit. And I find it very synchronistic that as you stepped in to watch me rise and went through that portal with us in January was when I was in Brazil, literally in the midst of the Yemaya ceremony and festival, like the one of the homelands of the highest reverence and celebration for Yemaya. And so I was praying with the waters and releasing with the waters and receiving and celebrating and dancing as I was holding Watch Me Rise. Like I think it's just so beautiful the way that, life brought us together in that way. And then I got to witness you, and I've gotten to witness you. I know it's only really been a few months that you've been inside of Here We Grow, but it's been so beautiful and so powerful, really claiming this next level of ownership of like, yeah, I get to be a wild woman who is rising beyond the limits of the past into my wealthiest overflow. And one of the things I say in Here We Grow is like, it's the home for wild women to rise and thrive, right? And so we have our upper limits and the point that our nervous system and that our somatic capacity starts to go into constriction and restriction and stress and overworking or overdoing and all of those old mechanisms. And one of the things I love about you and about women of color and women of all different races and backgrounds that come into this kind of work is how we get to liberate our bodies into feeling more free and in pleasure with wilder money and actually allow for it to replenish us and to nourish us and to give us more life, right? Versus the old toxic paradigms that we've talked about in brief, I think, here and there, but I got into it really deep inside of Watch Me Rise, of the colonial, patriarchal, capitalist system that wants us to feel disconnected, drained, depleted. It's like, oh, what a powerful revolution to get to own your sovereignty with money and with wilder wealth and still let that infuse and feed the work that you are creating in the world. And so yeah, it's been such a beautiful like pleasure to get to witness that in you. And I would love for the people that are getting to watch this to hear, and we have another live coming up next. So those of you who are watching this, you can hop on over to Paola's page and watch her live after this because we're going to be talking more about Egypt. But for this conversation, I'd love for you to get to share, and for the people that are listening to get a felt sense of, where you were and how you were feeling before you came into my work and my world, and the strongest shift that you felt in as you were going through the portal and after the portal of Watch Me Rise, and just inside of our larger Here We Grow community in and of itself. And the resistance that you might have felt when you were like, oh, do I want to do this, and what you worked through to rise beyond the resistance and to choose to step in.
Great question. Phenomenal question. So initially in January, I was in a place of like, how do I build this business? How do I structure this? Because I've been like having a job and then also doing my work on the side. So it was a big shift for me, like, okay, how do I create a flow where now I'm the CEO of my business, my world? How do I incorporate all these pieces? And I didn't really know where to start out because I have so many ideas, I have so many projects, but then I'm a generator, so I need to feel inspired. And you're a generator too. We talked about that. So I need to feel inspired to do anything, because if I'm not inspired, I just feel like, ugh, and it doesn't have the same frequency and energy. And so I was in that place of like, where do I infuse my energy? I mean, I knew my goals, but I was a bit like a leaf in the wind, if I can be transparent. And then I saw your class coming up, and I was like, oh, this aligns, because sometimes things just don't align time wise. I'm a mom, even though I'm not clocking in the hospital no more, still got so many things going on, but it just aligned timing wise. I was like, let's jump in. And it reminded me to connect my joy to the work, because we forget. I forgot I needed that deep reminder. And hearing everybody else's story, what they're working, what they're building, was an inspiration for me. And it started to kind of let me see a little bit more of the future. And then connecting that to the joy I love to dance, and reminding us to dance and really embody that, reminded me, okay, I want to really infuse the joy every single day in my life. And so that's been a thread that's been going on, whether it's dancing, whether it's singing, whether it's shaking my booty. My daughter loves that. She's like, Mom, you crazy? Shaking your booty. She's like, yes. That's our portal. And so there was some joy and some excitement that came through that class that I think I was missing, because it's been like this project that's like, I'm going to do it one day, and just haven't made the time or gotten the time to do it. And so it was like an inspiration, like an injection of inspiration. I think that's the best way that I can describe that. And I'm still at it. So even in Maui and all the places, not that I haven't practiced joy, but it's like more conscious and intentional frequency through that, to really allow myself, and being excited, sharing joy and excitement when clients come in, when people are, supporting your business. And that's been really a beautiful frequency. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. And I think it speaks volumes, because there are so many of us who, we're ambitious and we're so driven and we have big visions and big missions. And so we're pulled. And then when, life is lifing, it can be easy to disconnect, to not be in full embodiment of the joy and of the pleasure. So it sounds like one of the biggest things was like, you got into the pleasure palace, and now you've just been continuing to be in the pleasure palace and to allow yourself to sink into it. And also, the power of plugging into a regenerative ecosystem, how the actions happen. And like, that's what happens, what I think is so beautiful about this work, and that can get forgotten when you're not in those kinds of spaces, is like, this is why people make big moves in my world, is because they're plugged into a regenerative ecosystem that's feeding you, it's nourishing you. And so you're taking the kind of big wild actions that otherwise wouldn't have even happened. I mean, you launched your podcast, I think it was like a day or a few days after that as well, like all of these beautiful
We're
things.
working on it. Yes.
We're here. Yes, what is happening here? Thank you so much for being inside of Here We Grow and being in my world. And I have such deep love and respect for you. And I'm so grateful to be in relationship and to get to continue walking this path together, my love.
Me too. Thank you so much for showing up in your joy. For me, it's like you're like this radical embodiment of there's no ceiling,
Mm.
and I'm so grateful for you that you keep reminding us of that. And it's just earth is a frequency, right? And abundance is a frequency that's always there, but all we are keeping ourselves open to receive it, or blocking ourselves off. And so I think for me, somatic practices are really helpful. I've always danced, I've always sang. And one of the things I notice when I'm feeling restricted, I don't breathe the same. And so doing all these activities, the way we describe them, and then also the accountability of like, what are you actually going to do? What do you add? Like, it's all cute. It's nice to be in the session, but once we hang up, what are your actionable steps. I think that is also something that's really empowering, putting that, right, writing it down, having it being seen by others. And that also, like, oh my God, this person is doing this, not to compare, but to almost
Activate.
activate. It feels to me, it's like New York energy, right? In New York,
Sorry, just
it's
one moment.
tough. Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry. Woo!
I feel like when I lived in New York, just the frequency of being there, because everybody is working towards being the best of themselves, it just enhances and emphasizes everything you do. And that's what I felt like in the container,
Mm,
you know,
yes,
because we're all on
yes.
the same mission. We're like, excuse my French, but fuck all that limiting beliefs that we've been holding, that we've inherited, that we've learned, the patterns we've learned and inhabited, all the lies, um, about our womanhood, about our skin tone, about all the things. And to really like, it's time to cut those off. And how do we embody that?
Mm-hmm. How do I
Mm-hmm.
rise?
All
So,
right.
right. I love you.
Yes.
It's such a beautiful note to end on. And for those of you that are not yet in Edge of Expansion, I don't know why you're not in yet because it's fucking insane. It's the first free portal that I've held in over a year. I'm so excited. So it's free now, but it's $333 next week. So if you're not yet inside of Edge of Expansion, comment or DM on this edging or DM me privately edging and you'll get the link to join us for Edge of Expansion. I'm just so blown away. The last portal we had was out of this world and this one is like next level, and so I'm so excited for Edge of Expansion, and we are in the last period of the pre-party for Wild Overflow. So if you've been feeling into Wild Overflow, now's the time to apply. If you have no idea what Wild Overflow is, now's the time to check her out. Go to my bio and click the link or private message me and get to feel into Wild Overflow Wealth Fund. And I'm just so excited for this year and to watch you rise and to support you and to love on you and to get to see all of the beautiful people that enter your work and your world and get to travel the world with you and experience your magic in person. Because as we know, in person is just, it's a whole different thing, like from a nervous system and a somatic point. To get to connect with someone in person and to heal and to alchemize and to go to these ancient sites is just such deeply powerful work. And so I know I've been blessed to get to go to Egypt, and I have all of these really amazing in-person VIP experiences that are happening this year. So I am the number one advocate for in-person magic, and Paola, some magic in store for you. So I love you, and I will see you in just a bit for our next live.
When is your class starting? I think we should just add that. And
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Oh, hi, my love, Koina. I'm so happy to see you here. It's
ah,
Wednesday. Yeah, so this Wednesday to Friday at 3 p.m. PST, the Wealth Portal is opening. It's running the whole week. And once you're in, you will automatically, this is what happens in my world. Once you step into the Wealth Expansion portals, you'll already feel your body, your nervous system expanding. And then we just go deeper and juicier and wetter and wilder and richer every day. And that's why the people who show up the first day, they're like, oh gosh, I have to be here live every single day because every day just gets even better. So that's why I'm having fun with this one, where I haven't done a free thing in so long that I'm like, get in here. And then I'm like, okay, if you didn't get, sorry, my loves, now you get to invest in that to get have even more from it. Because in my personal experience, I'm sure you have your own experience of this, like the more I invest, the more I receive. So I love investing. Like I love investing. I just had a expansion retreat with my mentor. That's what brought me to Costa Rica. And she's phenomenal. I deeply respect and admire her. And I upgraded like 10 levels, literally, from just a few days of spending time and masterminding with her. And then I'm going into another retreat with another one of my mentors who just had her first 1.3 cash month, 1.3 million cash month last month. And so we're going to mastermind in a few days. And everything I receive from my mentors, who I invest tens and thousands of dollars into, I massively upgrade and up level my whole life. And I directly pour that into Here We Grow and all of my people. And so that's why I'm just so excited. One, for Edge of Expansion, because it's right after these massive in-person expansions that I've gone through. And two, because it's Expansive April in Here We Grow. And so we have a whole ass vibe happening in our private Here We Grow party. We have a surprise celebration party that's happening in there.
Well, I'll be there. I'm coming. I'll be there.
Yeah, oh, you're
Let's go.
so good. Everything we have coming for you this year, the rest of this year is just wild. It's just a whole new level of insanity in the best way, both in person and inside my close proximity spaces. So, I mean, the people inside of Wild Overflow know this. So, whoever watches this will also know that the people who join Wild Overflow during the pre-party, it's a very limited time. Like this ends. Like I think it's Friday that this will end. You get an in-person VIP immersion for a bonus as a gift, as a bonus. It's a $5,000 retreat as a bonus. So I'm just like, I'm having so much fun, and it just feels like wildly overflowing over here. And I'm like, come join the Wild Overflow.
Yes.
So those are the vibes.
Yes. It's our time. It's time.
Mm, mm, mm. All right. Much, and thank those of you who are listening, who came in during the live and who are watching the replay, and let us know in the comments, if you were moved, or you can DM me what landed for you, what activated or inspired you. I love to hear from you and to connect. And I'm blessing up the rest of you. Bye.
Bye. We'll see you soon on my page.
You see